Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ballet Rain. So if you've been with us for any amount of time, really, I'm sure you've heard us drop the term white act in our videos before.
For very good reason as well. White act is a very important part of classical ballet.
It's one of the most famous, iconic parts of any classical ballet in all of classical ballet repertoire.
So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to give y'all a crash course on the white act, what it is, where to find it, and most of all, and most importantly, how you can appreciate it.
So grab yourself a green room snack, hit the like button, buckle up, and let's go.
So the question we're all wanting to know is, what even is a white act?
So the white act, in its most basic explanation, is a scene or an act in a classical ballet in which there are a bunch of corps de ballet dancers, and they're all dancing together in white tutus, generally representing like ethereal creatures, whether it be like ghosts or swan maidens or you know, something very ethereal of that nature. The white act originated from the ballet La Sylphide, which is actually one of the first of ballet as we know it. La Sylphide premiered in 1832, which sort of sparked this big trend of the white act or the ballet blanc. Blanc?
Blanc.
Ballet blanc.
Ballet blanc.
Basically, La Sylphide marked the beginning of the ballet blanc, and it's been trending ever since, which I guess it's not really a trend anymore. It's like
It's been around this long, is it really a trend?
Yeah, it's a timeless thing. It's a universally acknowledged and loved part of classical ballet.
Before we go any further, we should probably address the fact that a white act is very different from a dream scene.
That is true. That's a valid
They do
point.
look similar, but there are a few key differences to look out for, so we're going to touch on that right now.
I think the four main differences between a white act and a dream scene would be the setting, the color palette / costuming, choreography informations, and then fourthly, vibes.
Vibes.
Very technical terms here.
Very certified terms.
The vibes are important. Okay, we'll touch on that in a bit. Firstly, the setting. So a dream scene, obviously, is a dream. The main character usually isn't really conscious.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this utopia, this paradise.
They usually just wake up in this dream and then they're surrounded by these little angelic attendants that are just there to look after them, entertain them with beautiful dancing. And there's usually one sort of angelic figure that kind of escorts them, or like
a tour guide.
A tour guide that just kind of leads them through the dream.
Yeah.
You can see that in Don Quixote, usually the tour guide, if you will, is Cupid. And in Clara's dream in the Nutcracker, it's usually Drosselmeyer who kind of ushers her through the entire thing.
But usually it's more like a conjuring of the protagonist or whoever's dreaming. It's a product of their imagination, that kind of feel, obviously a dream. A white act is very different from that in the sense that it is set in the real world, but it is sort of a intersection between like an ethereal realm and then the actual world. For instance, ghosts, swan maidens. They are in the real world, and the protagonist is seeing these figures in real life.
While they're conscious.
Yeah, while they're awake and conscious. So yes, setting-wise, dream scene, full imagination, white act, interception between, you know, the reality and ethereal. Second point is color palette. Dream scenes, oftentimes they will be in white tutus.
Sometimes.
However, there often is a lot of different variation in the colors. Maybe they'll have white with some pink flowers. Maybe
a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, some yellow.
Some sort of splash of color somewhere.
Right. Now, while it is colored, usually the colors are very pale because it is a dream and it's supposed to look ethereal still.
Usually it'll be very pretty, very idyllic, very soft, very dreamy. The white act, on the other hand, all the costumes will be pure white with very, very little, if any color at all.
Amongst the girls.
Yeah, amongst the girls, of course.
If there's a human man in the scene, he might be wearing whatever.
Yeah, he'll wear whatever, it doesn't matter. He doesn't count. But the white act, all the girls will be in pristine white to kind of emphasize just this pristine purity of like an ethereal being. Third main difference will be in choreography and formations. Dream scene, you will have a lot of different, not individuality, but sort of. So in a dream scene, all the dancers in that scene are usually split off into groups.
You might have some girls in pink, you might have some girls in blue, and sometimes they even have little children on the stage to be like, you know, little cherubs or
with like flowers.
Yeah, they're carrying flowers or little garlands or something, and it's a really special opportunity for children. There is sometimes different choreography for these different groups as well. sometimes they'll have the pink girls do something different than the blue girls, and then the children will be doing something different, and then we have the yellow soloists and then the green soloists, or whatever the case may be.
I think overall there's a lot more interaction between the dancers in a dream scene.
As if they're angelic beings relating to each other and trying to usher the dream along.
White act, on the other hand, you're going to have a lot more separation. The corps de ballet dancers are barely going to interact at all. And it's meant to give the impression, instead of having a bunch of angelic beings interacting with each other and interacting with the protagonist, it's sort of meant to have almost that illusion of just multiples, like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Like when you stand like between two mirrors and you have one mirror on one side and you like see multiples of yourself in the mirror. That sort of mirror-like illusion effect is really what we're going for in the white act. So you're going to have a lot more geometric formations. You're going to have the dancers in lines and rows, probably a lot of straight lines.
Rather than a dream scene, they usually have a lot more of an organic formation. They might have girls in the back here, and they might have a diagonal, and they'll have a little arch here.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a lot more variety, whereas in a white act, it's usually a lot more symmetrical and orderly.
And I think it's all about carrying that illusion of just, are they real or are they just multiples of the same person? It's supposed to make you question a little bit.
Exactly.
Fourth thing.
The vibe.
The vibe. It's all about the vibe. Vibes are important, okay?
Very important.
The vibe of the ballet is everything. So dream scenes. I think we've stressed this quite a bit. It's a very benevolent scene.
Yeah.
It's meant to carry you on the clouds through your dream and maybe end with you having some sort of epiphany, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, what a wonderful dream.
That's a good point. A lot of times in dream scenes, the protagonist does come to some sort of a realization that furthers the plot along, or it helps them throughout the rest of the ballet. You don't see that epiphany in every single dream scene, but it is more common.
With the white act, the vibe is totally different.
Yeah.
It's meant to make you absolutely lose your breath. It's almost chilling, almost haunting. It's meant to invoke that sense of mystery. I think part of that balance between like chilling but at the same time so beautiful and pure is what makes the white act so very sort of the crown jewel of all ballet.
So those are the main differences between the dream scene and the white act. Again, so similar.
Although there are some attributes that kind of span both, but we won't really talk about that for the sake of the video.
So where do we even find a white act?
There are four,
5, 6. There's a bunch of white acts, okay?
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk about the 3 most famous and iconic ones.
The big 3, as we like to refer to it.
Yeah. The first one, obviously, Swan Lake. Act 1, Scene 2, or Act 2. Depending on how the directors want to divide up the ballet.
Yes.
I think that was probably the most iconic white act in all of ballet,
without
period.
question.
The second most famous white act in ballet would probably have to be La Bayadere. No, Giselle.
Giselle and La Bayadere.
Okay, we can't rank these, okay?
Yeah,
These are just the 3. They're together up here, the 3, okay? The second one being the Willies from Giselle. Giselle Act 2, absolutely breathtaking in the most scary and haunting way. And thirdly, of course, the Kingdom of the Shades from La Bayadere, the final act. Unless there is a temple destruction scene, but if we cut that out, it is the third and final act of La Bayadere, which is absolutely phenomenal. They all have a very different story and a different vibe. Each of them are very beautiful in their own way, but they all are white acts. Of course, there is La Solfège, because that one is, of course, the OG. That and Giselle are kind of like the oldest white acts around. And also a sort of a mini white act, it would be the snow scene from the Nutcracker. It is considered a white act, but it's also considered a dream scene. This one is probably the most accessible, and the Nutcracker comes around every single year, right? Probably in your local town, wherever you're at, you can find a Nutcracker. Also, La Bayadere kind of counts as a dream scene and a white act.
Yeah, but don't think about it too hard. So a big question to ask is, what point does the white act serve in the ballet? Because clearly it's a very special part of the ballet. The white act actually does serve quite a few important purposes in the ballet. Firstly, obviously, it's in a ballet, so we paid to see ballet.
We want to see dancing, and a lot of it. So that's what the white act is kind of all about.
Yeah.
We want to see the full glory of the corps de ballet, full strength, doing what they do best, and that's exactly what a white scene is. A lot of time in a white act, it will be mostly centered around a main couple, but throughout the white act, when the couple is not the main spotlight, we get to see and appreciate the magnitude of the corps de ballet. And that's a really special sight to see, especially for our ballet enthusiasts, because a lot of the times these white acts have some of the most iconic pieces of choreography in it, and it's usually the most trademark piece of that particular ballet.
Second point, it does further the plot quite a bit. For instance, in Swan Lake, it sort of introduces us to the Swan Maidens, and it emphasizes the magnitude of the curse that they're under, because it affected such a
huge amount of people.
So it really pushes that emphasis and the direness of the situation, as well as following Odette and Siegfried as they're falling in love and as they're establishing that relationship.
And also in La Bayadere, when Solar falls into this sort of hallucination, the shades, in this context, they're not really there. It's just him hallucinating, I guess. But he's seeing Nakia, but the shades are meant to illustrate that he's seeing multiple of her, and they're just kind of all a blur. And then sometimes when they rush past each other like this and they leave the stage and he's there alone, it gives that huge impression that he is just tripping. It just drives that story along.
Yeah. Another purpose that the white act serves in the ballet is, practically speaking, it gives their main couple a break. Chances are throughout the white act, they're going to have a full pas de deux. So think pas de deux, solo, solo, coda. We should do another crash course on the pas de deux.
We should do that.
We should do that. Comment below. So usually during a white act, the main protagonist couple is going to have some sort of a pas de deux. So to sort of let them catch their breath, get their bearings, psych themselves up again to do the pas de deux, we're gonna have a bunch of opportunities for the corps de ballet to dance, to sort of build the suspense, I guess, until the main couple comes out to do the pas de deux. The fourth purpose of the white act is to really set an atmosphere. Corps de ballet is what defines a white act.
Exactly, they're kind of the definition.
Yeah, they set the tone, they set the atmosphere, and they carry it throughout the whole thing. One might argue that the protagonists stay the protagonists throughout the entire white act.
And they do.
They do.
They do.
But at this point, your attention shifts sort of to the sheer amount of energy that's just radiating off the corps de ballet. Because there is so much strength in numbers, especially in unison. Yeah, I think the overall effect is just breathtaking.
It is.
There is nothing quite like a well-done white act.
Yeah, nothing like it. Now that we're thoroughly convinced that the white act is one of the best parts of the entire ballet, how do you watch and appreciate a white act?
There are a lot of things to watch for and to enjoy. Hopefully by the end of watching this, you will be a few notches up in your ballet critic levels.
So the first thing you can look for in a good white act is when you watch the corps de ballet, is to watch for synchronicity.
Absolutely.
That is what really, really boosts the atmosphere in terms of that sense of power and just sheer magnitude and like the grandness of the corps de ballet is when they're all dancing together. There is nothing more beautiful than seeing all of these girls doing whatever simple, a lot of the time it's very basic passages and very basic steps, but when it's all done together, it can look that much more powerful. I mean, if you look at the King of the Shades, they were in place for 16 counts, and yet it is absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
Just because there are so many of them, heads all in the same place, arms in the same place, all the tutus shimmering.
Yeah.
It's just
the shimmer.
It is absolutely gorgeous. When you watch the corps de ballet, look for synchronicity. You'll know it when it's done well.
The second thing to really enjoy in a white act is all the different formations. A white act is designed, engineered, crafted, if you will, to showcase the sheer amount of dancers on the stage. And so one thing that you can really appreciate and look out for is the beautiful formations they're going to make. Whether it be beautiful straight lines, whether it be a full grid of just, 32, 64 dancers all in perfect.
When they cross stage right to stage left and vice versa, running in a circle, etc., etc. It's almost dizzying, but in not like sickening way. It's just absolutely mesmerizing.
It's really important to appreciate the precision in the formations just because the corps de ballet, they train very, very, very hard to make sure that everyone's staying in line.
Yes.
And that they're all not just dancing together, but they're traveling the same amount.
Yes, which is difficult because some dancers might have longer legs than others, and some will naturally travel further, and they have to hold back to stay in line. So when you look at it through that sort of eye, it makes you appreciate it that much more, because it's really difficult to dance together.
It's quite difficult. It's really not an easy feat. So when you can see and notice beautiful formations, you know your corps de ballet put in a ton of work. Final thing to look out for in a white act is clearly just the vibes.
Surprise.
Because honestly, the vibes are immaculate in these white acts. Choreography always hits. Music always hits. I feel like the choreographers and the composers just really
put everything in.
Yeah, they poured their whole heart to these white acts. Definitely, while you're appreciating the formations and while you're appreciating the synchronicity of the dancers, just sit back and immerse yourself in the story, because it's not meant to be you passively sit and watch. You're meant to really feel what they're feeling, feel what's happening, and just take in that atmosphere. Whether it be the wheelies, you're supposed to feel that terror, that chilling and deadly beauty that they emit, or the swans and you feel that power and that sorrow at the same time, or whether it be the shades where you feel like you're on the edge of the dimension and you're just staring off into the void. Whatever the case may be, just sit back and enjoy the corps, enjoy the soloist, and know that you are watching ballet in its purest form of beauty, and just enjoy it, because it truly is an experience.
So that concludes our white act crash course for you today.
Hopefully you could learn a little bit about the white act and why we love it as dancers and why you should love it as an audience member or a dancer wherever you are out there. If you would like some more ballet crash courses, then comment below if you want crash courses on any other topics, and we would be very happy to look into those for y'all. If you liked this crash course and you learned a lot, make sure you give the like button a small tap, and make sure you share this video with a friend, with your ballet nerd tribe around the world. And if you have not subscribed, of course, feel free to do so, because we liked having you here today and we'd be really excited to see you here again. And I think that is all from us for now. This is Ballet Rain signing off. Until the next video.
Bye.